Hello, my name is Christopher Chalpont, and this is my presentation on extraterrestrial interaction and the creation energy teaching. I have been a member of Figure Studium Grupa for the past 4 years. We are a nonprofit organization that engages in ufology and the creation energy teaching. We also hold info stand events where we educate the public on various topics, including a sustainable future. A little bit about me. I've been interested in UFOs and extraterrestrials and other related topics for as long as I can remember. A fond memory of when I was around 8 years old, I built a UFO using the children's toy Kinects. These interests led me to the Billy Meyer case around 2017. The UFO photographs initially drew me into the material, but the spiritual knowledge, the creation energy teaching, is why I'm here today. Books such as The Might of the Thoughts and the Psyche have been cornerstones in my personal development and healing journey. Okay. So today we're going to talk about extraterrestrial contact and the creation energy teaching. The topic we're going to discuss is who is Emmanuel, who is Billy Meyer, and what is the connection between Billy and Emmanuel. Emmanuel was wrongfully known as Jesus Christ. Billy Meyer found the scrolls belonging to Emmanuel, and what is their connection would be the extraterrestrial visitation and the creation energy teaching. So perhaps you have heard of the name Emmanuel. He was born on February 3rd, 4 BCE, and lived until 111 BCE. So who was Emmanuel? Well, in Isaiah 7:14 and Matthew 1:23, the famous quote is, "Behold, the virgin will be with child and give birth to a son, and they will call him Emmanuel." Emmanuel was wrongly attributed to the character Jesus Christ. Emmanuel studied reality and its resulting truth. He taught this teaching, respectively, the creation energy teaching, formerly known during Emmanuel's life as the spirit teaching, to his fellow human beings. The creation energy teaching is the teaching of the truth, the teaching of the life, the teaching of the creation energy, which is the teaching brought by all previous heralds or prophets. The previous heralds or prophets who brought the creation energy teaching were Enoch, Jeremiah, Josiah, Elijah, Emmanuel, Muhammad, and our current Edward. The game of telephone. So the game of telephone is a game where children pass down something verbally, and by the end it gets distorted. So how did the creation energy teaching become distorted? Up until the present time, the teaching could only be brought verbally to the people, which was then spread from person to person, which the teaching ended up in a religion. Religion was created. So much of it was knowingly or unknowingly falsified and misunderstood, leading to half-truths and further falsifications or misinterpretations. It was well known during this age the majority of people could not read and write. So in this sense, religion is relatable to the game of telephone. Its records were mainly transmitted through word of mouth over an extended period, which led to these falsifications or misinterpretations. The New Age brings with it newer possibilities, including the recording and transmitting of the creation energy teaching to Earth humans digitally through books and internet, which, however, further misunderstandings will arise from the mere fact that people still have to take in this information and learn it over a period of time. So through the rebringing of the teachings, humanity now has clarity on myths, words, terms, concepts, and true history. So the New Age brings with it a reemergence and the extension of the creation energy teaching according to Billy Meyer. So we're going to get into religious texts and extraterrestrials. So perhaps you've heard of the book of Ezekiel, and we're just going to talk about the extraterrestrial connection. Ezekiel 1:4 the famous quote is, "I looked and I saw a windstorm coming out of the north, an immense cloud with flashing lightning and surrounded by brilliant light. The center of the fire looked like glowing metal. This glowing metal was a reference to a metal craft, a UFO. And in Matthew 2, Luke 2:1-19, the quote is, "When they heard the king, they departed, and behold, the star which they had seen in the east went before them, till it came and stood over where the young child was. When they saw the star, they rejoiced with exceedingly great joy. And when they had come into the house, they saw the young child with Mary, his mother, and fell down and worshipped him. And when they had opened their treasures, they presented gifts to him, gold, frankincense, and myrrh. So the wise men followed a star. The stars don't just drop down from the sky. So they followed a beam ship that directed them to Mary and Emmanuel. And then we have the book of Enoch, which mentions beings called watcher angels, but were they really extraterrestrials? Now we're going to examine some some art depicted during the Renaissance, during when Emmanuel lived. And if we look here, we have the Madonna and Child painting. And if you look in the back, you have a guy drawing our attention up into the sky, what looks like a UFO. And then on the right, at the crucifixion, the depiction of the crucifixion, this is above the altar in a monastery. We have what looks like two beings inside a craft here. Now we have the Annunciation with Saint Amadeus, 1486, where we have what looks like a beam ship beaming down something into the head of this woman here. The baptism of Christ, we have what looks like another UFO beaming something down. And the Mussolino looks like what we have is a fleet of craft here. So hold your thinking about Emmanuel. We're going to talk about someone else who was also born on February 3rd. Perhaps you've heard of him. His name is Billy Meier. Who is Billy Meier? Billy Meier is in contact with highly developed human beings from another universe who designate themselves as Pleiaren and possess time-traveling technology, often referred to as beam ships. According to this account, these are the same human beings that Emmanuel was also in contact with during his lifetime. Billy has self-appointed himself as the herald of the modern time to disseminate the creation energy teaching, which was known in earlier times as the spirit teaching. Some of his books, which include the teaching, are the Talmud of Emmanuel, which is the teaching of Emmanuel, the Might of the Thoughts, the Psyche, the Goblet of the Truth, which is also intertwined with the Cauldron of Life and Holy Grail, Dodecalogue, which is the 12 recommendations previously intertwined with the 10 Commandments, Arahat Atharsada, and then the Om, which is Om Falon Ir Morado, which in English is the Laws of Creation, previously known as the Book of Truth. Now we're going to talk about the investigation. These are the investigators that investigated Billy's case. We have Lieutenant Colonel Wendell Stevens, which was a U.S. Air Force pilot and military UFO researcher. And we have husband and wife Britt and Lee Elders. They were investigated authors. These people researched and investigated hundreds of photographs and videos that were taken before the time of computers and Photoshop. And they were all verified by various governments and these experts in their respective fields. Here we have Super 8 film of a demonstration by Billy's third contact, Semyase. And over on the right is a landed craft, landed Semyase's craft. These were taken in 1975. Here we have more of Semyase's ship and another ship with objects in the background, giving various depictions to further prove the case. On the right here, we have Billy and Conrad measuring a landing site. And on the left, we have the group, Billy's group. And interestingly enough, the UFO in the top right corner wasn't discovered until after the photo was developed. And here we have metal samples. The metal samples were examined and authenticated by Dr. Marcel Vogel, who was a crystal analyst and an IBM specialist. He came to the conclusion that these metal samples could not have originated on Earth with the current technology. It just wasn't possible. And now we're going to talk about the connection between Emmanuel and Billy, which is the extraterrestrial visitation, which is to bring the creation energy teaching to humanity. In 1963, Billy uncovered Emmanuel's tomb, where he recovered the scrolls written by Judas Iscariot, not Judas Iscariot, who betrayed Emmanuel. Judas Iscariot was Emmanuel's scribe, who was one of the few people that could read and write, which is, how he took down Emmanuel's teaching, where Billy contracted Isha Rashid was also there with Billy when this tomb was discovered. He contracted Isha to translate these scrolls, creating the book, The Talmud of Emmanuel. And on the right we have the contract here. So this was the discovery in 1963 of the tomb. There's photos of the tomb. Billy was led to this site where he then found the scrolls. And on the left here is a photo of Billy and Isha, and Isha's in the middle, and then Prince Roger's on the left. So what does the future bring? What was the purpose? The purpose was to bring the teaching. So the creation energy teaching provides clarification of misunderstood words, terms, concepts, myth, and historical interpretations. It addresses the evolution of consciousness, which was believed to be the spirit, and the question of why human beings exist, while distinguishing between belief from reality and its truth. It examines morals, ethics, and virtues in relation to the creational laws and recommendations that paves the path for humanity, for human beings towards a future of true peace, love, freedom, and harmony. This presentation doesn't go into specific detail about these things. This is just to get your tongue wet, per se, and so that you can delve into the information yourself, study and come to your own conclusions and your own comprehension to learn the material. So thank you very much.